from the ashes of yesterday to the hope of a better world. For thousands of years, humanity lived in patterns: rise, flourish, fall, disappear, and repeat. But in every collapse, in every dark moment, someone always survived. Someone always carried the fire forward. This chapter is not about a fall. It is about how we learned to rise. At the turn of the first millennium, the world was shifting again. Armies still marched. Empires still fought for land, rivers, spices, and glory. But across the continents, something new was forming, something that had never happened before. People were beginning to connect. It did not start with kings or emperors. It started with ordinary people: farmers, travelers, merchants, sailors, monks, and scribes. For the first time, knowledge wasn't locked inside one kingdom, one tribe, one desert, or one city. It moved across seas, along dusty roads, through crowded markets, and into hands that had never held a book before. Humanity was learning to share its story, and the world was about to change because of it. The first sparks of a global world. Europe had just escaped centuries of chaos. The Middle East held some of the world's greatest libraries. Africa thrived with kingdoms built on trade and scholarship. Asia held ancient wisdom, powerful dynasties, and inventions that would reshape the future. But none of these places truly knew the others until curiosity took over. Merchants traveled farther. Sailors began mapping coastlines. Caravans carried ideas instead of just goods. A traveler from the Far East could now reach the deserts of Arabia. A scholar from Timbuktu could study mathematics that came from Greece, Persia, and India. A sailor from Portugal could return home with stories from islands his ancestors never imagined. For the first time in history, knowledge was traveling faster than armies. And knowledge, more than steel, more than gold, more than kings, became the most powerful force on earth. The age of questions. As ideas spread, people began asking questions no one had dared ask before. Where do we come from? Why do civilizations rise? Why do they fall? Can we learn from their mistakes? Scribes and monasteries studied ancient scrolls. Explorers compared maps created thousands of miles apart. Astronomers looked at the night sky with new instruments and realized the universe was far bigger than anyone had imagined. This was the beginning of a new kind of world, a world no longer ruled only by survival or conquest, but by curiosity. Curiosity built ships that crossed oceans. Curiosity sparked inventions that made life easier. Curiosity created tools that could record history, so it would never again be lost time. But curiosity also did something else. It connected the human story into one long thread. The turning point, a world awakening. In the 1400s and 1500s, the world crossed a bridge it could never uncross. Books could now be printed, not copied by hand. Knowledge could spread to thousands, not dozens. For the first time, ordinary people could read what only scholars once knew. History was no longer something controlled by rulers. It was becoming something everyone could learn from. This moment, quiet, small, almost invisible at first, changed humanity forever. Because once people understood the past, they began to shape the future. Cities grew into global centers. Trade routes tied continents together. New ideas challenged old beliefs. Art, science, and exploration flourished. The world was no longer many small stories. It was one big, growing, connected story, the power of remembering. But remembering the past also meant confronting it. People studied fallen empires and asked, why did they collapse? What warnings did they ignore? Could it happen again? Historians looked at civilizations like Mesopotamia, Aksum, the Maya, the Khmer Empire, and so many more. They found patterns, mistakes repeated again and again across time. Environmental collapse, inequality, famine, short-sighted rulers, ignoring the needs of ordinary people, wars that drained nations until nothing was left. History was no longer just a story. It was a map of human behavior stretching across thousands of years. And humanity began to learn, slowly, painfully, but undeniably, a world on the edge of modernity. The 1700s and 1800s brought revolutions, scientific, industrial, political. Machines replaced muscle. Ideas replaced kings. Nations rewrote themselves. But this new world came with dangerous contradictions. Technology advanced faster than wisdom. Industry grew faster than empathy. Power concentrated faster than justice could keep up. Humanity had unlocked incredible potential. Steam engines, vaccines, electricity, telegraphs, railways, factories, global trade. But these tools also created inequalities and tensions that would explode in the centuries to come. The world was bigger than ever, but it was also more fragile. Civilizations no longer collapsed in silence behind mountains or deserts. Now, their fall shook the entire globe. The human story had entered its most dangerous chapter yet. The century of fire and iron. The 1900s became a century the world would never forget. Wars spread across continents. Nations rose and fell at breakneck speed. New empires formed. Old ones shattered. Cities were destroyed, borders rewritten. It was a century of incredible loss and incredible progress. After the wars, something unimaginable happened. Former enemies rebuilt. Nations worked together. Global organizations formed to prevent the mistakes of the past. Humanity had seen the edge of collapse, and it chose to step back. This was the first time in history that people from different continents, different languages, beliefs, and cultures chose cooperation over conquest. It was a turning point, a proof that humanity could learn, the age of memory. By the late 1900s and early 2000s, something extraordinary happened. For the first time ever, every human civilization story was recorded, not in stone, not in caves, not in fading scrolls, but in digital memory, millions of books, films, photos, documents, and discoveries preserved forever. A child anywhere in the world could now learn about Mesopotamia, the Maya, ancient China, medieval Africa, Greece, Rome, Persia, the kingdoms of the Pacific, the empires of the Americas, the nomadic cultures of the steppes, and forgotten cities swallowed by deserts and jungles. Knowledge that once took centuries to gather was available in seconds. Humanity could finally see the full arc of its own story. Every rise, every fall, every warning, every spark of brilliance, every mistake repeated and avoided. We had become the first generation that truly understood the past. And because of that, we could finally shape the future. The new civilization. The 21st century is not defined by land or kings or armies. It is defined by connection. Over 8 billion people, each with a story, a voice, a memory, a dream, now share the same global home. For the first time in human history, we can talk to one another across oceans instantly. We can learn from ancient mistakes before repeating them. We can build solutions together in ways no civilization before us ever could. We are no longer separated by mountains, deserts, or oceans. Humanity is becoming a single, interconnected civilization. And like every civilization before us, we face challenges: climate change, inequality, conflict, technological risks. But unlike every civilization before us, we have history on our side. We know what causes collapse. We know what saves societies. We know that cooperation keeps civilizations alive. And we know that knowledge, shared, protected, and used wisely, can keep us from repeating the patterns that destroyed countless empires. For the first time, humanity has the tools to preserve its own future, the hope of tomorrow. The story of humanity is not a straight line. It is a wave, rising, falling, rising again. Every civilization contributed something: a new idea, a breakthrough, a discovery, a warning, a memory, a spark, a lesson, and all those lessons lead to one truth. We are still writing the story. From the farmers who built the first villages to the engineers shaping the cities of tomorrow, we are part of the same long journey. A journey of courage, a journey of mistakes, a journey of discoveries, a journey of hope. Humanity has survived droughts, storms, wars, plagues, collapses, and the disappearance of entire civilizations. And yet, we are still here, still learning, still rising, still dreaming. The next chapter of history is not written in stone. It is written by us, one choice at a time. As long as we remember the past, as long as we protect our shared history, as long as we value the lessons left behind by forgotten cities, and ancient voices, humanity will always find a way forward, because the greatest strength of our species has never been our power. It has always been our ability to rise after the fall. And this time, we rise together.